Hi, welcome to the Kelli Christina Show, Thought Leaders of Our American Industries. I'd like to thank Jeff Crilley and his Dallas team for making these episodes come to life. I'm pulling back the curtain and taking the time to interview some dynamic bosses, leaders, authors, public speakers that are out there making a positive difference with their organizations, teams, and local communities. Today, I'd like to introduce who I call my Texas media star, Scott Murray. Scott Murray, welcome.
Hello.
Scott Murray spent over 3 decades as a sports director and anchor for NBC. He spends a lot of time over the decades with the NFL and the NBA. Scott also spends a lot of time attending events, award events, networking, charities, and a lot of times public speaking. So thank you for coming on the show today.
No, delighted to be here. Kelly calls. Yes, ma'am. I'll be there. Where do I go? What time?
Thank you, Scott. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I guess the whole idea of what I get a chance to be a part of now is not something that I initially planned to be a part of until I was actually in college. My best friend and I were out trick-or-treating on the 31st of October. We were both in second grade, both 7 years old. And 4 days later, all of a sudden, Frankie's parents, his mom and dad, were in my second grade class. And I asked the teacher, what's going on? And she said, it's funny, I remember her name, Mrs. Molden. She said, Scotty, you go sit down. We'll tell you in a minute. And they proceeded to tell us that Frankie had leukemia. And he was gone before the end of the school year. So I vowed then that I was going to be a pediatrician someday, come up with a cure for childhood cancer. I haven't done that yet, but I was just really into to making a difference in the lives of those that needed it most. And I got that from my mom and dad. They were incredibly involved with everything from the PTA to the United Way, which used to be called the Community Chest, and that type of thing. And it just it was something that they always taught me, that you make a difference in the lives of those that need it most. And it didn't matter whether they were poor or whether they were sick. It didn't matter. Somebody that was a little less off than you were, try and be a difference maker. And so one of the things that I've closed a couple of podcasts of my own are live your life as a go-getter, but share your life as a go-giver. And that's what it's all about. So that was a part of me as I went through high school and then into college in pre-med. And then I was, 17 years old, driving to school. I was living with my parents the first couple of years when I was in college. And I hear this guy on the radio, how would you like to make millions of dollars, travel to millions of locations, meet millions of girls? You too can be a disc jockey. So I tried that out and never heard from him. Then about 3 months later, I got a call just before Christmas, and Mr. Murray, you still interested? And apparently they had 517 people that applied for this job because they had billboards and what have you. But I said, yes, sir, I'm still interested. Well, they'd whittled the list down to 18. Well, I was one of the 18. So, here was 17, 18 years old, and I got a radio show. So it was kind of neat. Did the all-night show, and had done another show earlier. I mean, it was just, so it was a lot of fun. And I got to work alongside guys that I had listened to as a kid growing up. Wow, that's the so-and-so DJ. So it was just fun. And then just continued on, and doors opened, and suddenly there was the opportunity to do some television, and the rest is history. So, but that's why I do all the charity work, especially with medicine, with children, and military too. I never was in the military, but had some friends that were in the military, were killed or seriously disabled in the Vietnam War. And so do a lot of, I MC the Veterans Day Parade in Dallas every year and things like that.
You kind of touched upon the question, my next up question anyway.
Yeah.
I knew that you had other interest out there before the media. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, I think at one point, but I'll let you say, you had some aspirations and some dreams out there before your media career.
Right.
And I think that shows up in your book, Scott.
Well, the whole idea of the book was, this is my third book. The first one was Whatever It Takes, Life Lessons Learned Through Sports Legends. And I took I think there was 30 or 35 gentlemen in there and ladies, but it was people that I met along the way as a broadcaster, as a sportscaster. The Roger Staubachs, the Drew Pearsons, John Wooden, the great coach at UCLA, who was also just so integrity driven. Just some of the things that he wrote, the books, just an incredible man. Jesse Owens. I mean, my mother was from Alabama, and she gave me a book when I was in 6th grade and said, now, even though we're here at the lake and you're having fun at the cottage, you got to read books now. You're still in school. Education is first and foremost. And it was a biography of Jesse Owens, and he was also from Alabama. And well, years later, I met him and did a couple of events with him and became just a dear friend before he passed away. And just, first American to win 4 gold medals at the Olympics. Just an incredible individual, and yet didn't get his. The Olympics were in Germany, and so he was there to receive his gold medals that he'd won. And Hitler was coming in. This was in 1936. Hitler was beginning to come in power, and as you well know, he didn't like Jews, he didn't like blacks, he didn't like minorities, and he didn't give him his medals. Now picture today, somebody that wins 4 gold medals at the Olympics not receiving them.
It wouldn't happen.
It wouldn't happen. No, you'd hear about it, it'd be front page national news, worldwide news the next day. He never said a thing.
Well, the world has definitely changed.
Yeah.
Scott Murray, and I've got to show everybody. This is Scott's 3rd book, Rhyme Has Reason. And I'm in love with this book right here.
Well, thank you.
This is a little bit different than your first 2 books, Scott,
Yes, it
right?
is. Right.
This is more on the motivational level.
Yeah.
I know it embraces positive thinking, core values, and beliefs. So anyway, talk to us a little bit about this book, Scott. I'm excited.
Well, my keynote that I give across the country is Leadership America, creating champions of change through a culture of civility. Because unfortunately, we've lost the ability to be kind, courteous, and respectful. And if you want to be focused on being honest, with integrity, leadership, all the things that we all need to be every single day in our lives, what we want to share with our children, it doesn't exist out there. Not the way it did when I was growing up, that's for sure. And so I thought I would take some words that we all have come to know: courage, commitment, character, compassion, kindness, courtesy, respect, honesty, integrity, mother, father, faith, family, words like that. And I decided to put them to 3-verse poems. So I took all those words, 125 of them, and put those in 3-verse poems. My Leadership America creed goes something like this. Living life is not just about me. A purposeful life is all about we. Sharing together all that we see, even though we might not always agree. Respectful and kind is forever key. Truthful and transparent is what we should be. Eradicating the anger and the hateful debris. Live not in a world where we need referees. So let us move forward in a place we foresee, diverse and inclusive for both he and she. Matters not religion nor race. Faith is for thee. We must live in a world that's our home of the free. And that's what it's all about. That's what we need to do. We need to focus on who we are, what we are all about, and move forward in a positive, productive, purposeful way, but with passion and also with just the integrity that we need to do every single day.
Genius, Scott.
So,
that's
and
genius.
then there's a second part of the book. It says alphabet of life is the bottom, the second part.
Correct, right there, yes.
I just, for fun, when I was putting this together, I noticed that there were a lot of words that all begin with the same letter, that were positive words or negative words. And so I took all those words and went through the alphabet of life, as I call it, and took A, B, C, D, and did words that are positive, words that are negative, and so that worked out. That was kind of cool too. So that's the second part of the book.
Absolutely love it. I'm a huge reader myself on motivational.
Thank you.
I think that everyone can feed their mind and their spirit with the right type of literature that helps out there. So you are going to make a difference with this book, Scott. And how long did it take you to write this?
Actually, not all that long. The first couple of books that I wrote were a little longer, but I did this past summer, last summer in 2025. Just during the last year I did 369 events, and so either speaking or emceeing. And in July and August, there's hardly anything that's going on for nonprofits and what have you. There's no events and galas and what have you. So in July and August, I didn't have a lot to do. So I just was horsing around and thought, hey, and I started writing some things that rhymed, and have always been fascinated by rhyme and that type of thing. So I thought, there's a reason behind this rhyme. So that's where the title came from. Rhyme has reason. And just so I would say it took me maybe a month and a half to write the book.
Congratulations.
So, thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
So I know that you're a current day CEO of Murray Media.
Right.
I think that you've mentioned your son.
Yeah.
Being very involved with that company.
He's my hero.
So how do you take personally the basic some of the core principles of this book and in with your company? Can you relate business with what's going on in this book?
Well, again, I mentioned my mom and dad earlier. The two greatest role models anybody could ever have. I was very fortunate. Had two younger sisters. Lost one sister who was named Teacher of the Year in special education on a Tuesday, and Wednesday she went for her annual mammogram and found out she had stage 4 breast cancer, and she was gone before the end of the year at 38 years of age. So that was a tough one, because she had named her son after me before I ever had a son, and she just was very special. And then I had another younger sister now who's she's a hematology oncology, heads up the hematology oncology department at Children's Hospital, and she just has always been focused on that type of thing. But I just my son excuse me, my son graduated from Baylor University and said, "Dad, you're speaking or emceeing hundreds of events every year. What do you say we have our own television AV event company? That's what my degree's in." And I said, "Well, that's a great idea." So we created Murray Media World. And it's just been, my dad was a biochemical engineer, did things for NASA and what have you. And I miss that gene. I don't have any technology gene in me.
Neither do I.
Oh, it's terrible. And my son, I think it skipped a generation because he is so smart. I wouldn't know how to turn the cameras on here that are filming us right now. But my son had all that, and it's just a joy to work with. Well, I was very fortunate to have won some Emmys and what have you at NBC5, but the highlight of my professional career didn't come in sports, although, I've been to over 40 Super Bowls and been to the Olympics, and was at the Miracle on Ice the last time the Americans won a gold medal in hockey with Mike Eruzione, what have you, and against the Russians. I just... it's crazy. I just never was involved in anything. So what I was going to say is, no, I forget what we were talking about. I started to tell you something about, my son. So
your son.
Yeah. So it was great. So what did we do? I was asked to go to Normandy on the 70th anniversary of D-Day with 24 World War II vets, all in their 90s. And some of them took a son or a daughter who were in their 60s or 70s.
Right.
And we went on a bus for 2 weeks to Germany, Luxembourg, Belgium, and back to France. And talk about an emotional trip. And just, it was unbelievable. And it got very emotional for both the sons, the daughters, and the vet who was in his 90s. And we did this, and my son shot the whole thing, and then I interviewed them and wrote the documentary. Both my son and I won an Emmy for what we did. And it was,
That's fantastic.
How do you go to Normandy with 24 World War II vets in their 90s and, put a documentary together and win an Emmy with your son? I mean, there's nothing that'll ever stop that. We were asked to go to Pearl Harbor in the 75th, too, and did the same thing over there.
That's an experience with your family you're never going to forget.
Never.
And you definitely had a very strong life story and experienced a lot.
Yeah, that was just tremendous. Yeah, that was so much fun.
Well, Scott, how's the easiest way for our readers to find this book?
It's in all the bookstores, Barnes and Noble.
You got it,
what have you.
Barnes and Noble?
Yeah.
I just want to wish you the best of the success.
Well, this is a hardcover.
Yes.
But you can get a soft cover and a hardcover, and it's not that much. This one's only $25 a piece. No, I'm just kidding. The hardcover is like I don't know. It's $2, $5.
Something like that.
It's very inexpensive.
Pricing, Scott.
I'll have to check. I don't know. But no, it's just wonderful, and it just it's been just tremendous to be a part of it and be able to share the great stories of so many incredible people.
Well, I really truly think that this is going to inspire some readers out there. And plant the right, core values,
Well, I hope
beliefs,
so.
and patterns, into, it doesn't matter which day or decade. There's some good old-fashioned beliefs and core values that it doesn't matter what year or decade, especially even in business.
Right.
It's not going to change.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
All the right
Absolutely.
stuff. Yes. I just want to thank you for taking the time today to come on the Kelli Christina Show.
Oh, you're welcome.
Scott, I know you're busy with a lot of events out there, and you're truly making a difference, and I just want to thank you for all that you do.
Oh, no. Working with nonprofits is problem. People say, why do you still stay so busy? Why don't you? I thought you were retired, Scott. But no, call. I'm easy. I just, anything that you can do to make a difference in the lives of those that need it most, I'm there. Whether it's children, whether it's the elderly, whether it's sick, whether it doesn't matter. There are people out there every single day. It's so sad. It's so sad. So for whatever the reason, but I really enjoy, either emceeing or speaking to people and sharing the message that I've been able to be a part of for decades. So it's a lot of fun. So,
and I love that.
Oh.
And some people, they've really forgotten in this country, good old fashioned, service work. And I tell them often, you don't have to. Making a difference is not always about just the money. Sometimes it's your time, it's your heart, it's your service. It's everybody in the country could spend a little bit more time on making a difference. It's just a decision that you make. Service work is free. It's your time, it's your heart, it's your spirit. It can be as small as, going and doing something that you don't really inconvenience you.
Right.
But you make the decision to show up and do it.
Absolutely. And my wife does a lot of the events that, dear Carole does. She's there. And then my daughter, Stephanie. And, she's an executive VP at a major corporation here in America. And she's putting together big events literally around the world. So as an event planner and what have you. So I'm very, very proud of her. So, and that's what I have, those two little kiddos. So
right.
I'm just so proud of both of them as they continue to do many of the same things that they grew up being a part of. So it's kind of funny.
Wishing you, your family, your company, and your book great success in 2026. All right?
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and continued success to you, too. Because, people can learn a lot from, all the things that you've been a part of. So congratulations.
I appreciate that, Scott Murray.
Nope.
I appreciate meeting you a good couple years ago, our connection, and your support.
No, and remember, live your life as a go-getter, but share your life as a go-giver.
I love it. Bye.